Welcome back, everybody, to episode 5 of Culture Cast. Dom, myself, Chris, gonna be talking more about Phoenix today and Summer League as well. Phoenix has been making a lot of moves. They've been in the news lately, continuing to just, you know, throw away their roster and bring a whole new one in. It's been pretty chaotic. It's going to continue to be chaotic. So we're going to discuss that a bit. I wanted to talk about Lamar Stevens as well. Recently waived by the San Antonio Spurs, who had, I think, traded for him from Cleveland. I don't remember, traded or signed, something like that. Nerlens Noel also signs in Sacramento. We're going to talk about that a bit. And then Summer League, capping off Cam Whitmore winning MVP, as well as a Marcus Sasser 40 bomb. Someone that Dom was very high on in the first couple episodes of the series. So, yep, that's what's going on. Let's get right into it. Cameron Payne traded to the San Antonio Spurs along with a second round pick and cash for Phoenix to get a future second round pick from San Antonio. Cameron Payne, coming off of a 10-4 season for Phoenix, hasn't played. However, I think the big thing with Cam, you brought it up last episode when we were kind of going in about the health. Cameron Payne has not played more than 60 games once in his career. Definitely worth noting. Not like he's going to be playing 82 in San Antonio, but the health is something to be a little weary about. But I think we brought it up last episode. The scoring is there. He's a very good backup guard. What are your thoughts? How are you viewing this? What do you see?
So I think it's a very interesting trade. So from the Phoenix side of it, I was reading into it a bit more, and it seemed like it was to save Matasheba some luxury tax and keep him out of it, because I read it was 15 million they avoided in luxury tax by trading away his contract.
Oh wow, that's a
So,
lot.
and it's, to
Mm.
be honest, I was kind of surprised too, because I thought it was an interesting trade, seeing that his contract was expiring and it was only 6.3 million for the year. So I was like, that's great value for a backup guard who's arguably one of the better ones, to be honest. So I was kind
Yeah,
of interested with that, but yeah, it made more sense. It seemed to be like a salary dump for Phoenix's massive payroll as of right now. So
yeah.
I understand the perspective from an owner, I guess, seeing that. So it made more sense once I read into it a bit more, because he does seem to be a pretty valuable asset to that team. So I'm interested to see what he'll bring to San Antonio. Definitely a very solid 3-point shooter. And
Mm.
I've been seeing he's been playing very well over the summer in a few rec leagues recently. I saw you.
Dropped 52. Yeah, the day he gets
Another
traded.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, he looks, yeah, but no, they're definitely a very interesting guard, very creative around the rim, not athletic, great shooter, very
yeah.
solid, capable playmaker, nothing special on the playmaking side, but still very capable. So overall, I think it's a very interesting signing for San Antonio, and maybe someone that could be trade bait come the deadline. Who knows? You never know with that team right now.
Yeah, very, very interesting spot for San Antonio getting him. Like you said, probably going to be in a trade package, I imagine, at the deadline. But someone that also is going to, kind of make it a little competitive for Trey Jones in terms of minutes. So interesting there. Also worth noting, and I forgot to mention this before we started. Uh, Shams tweeted that it is official that Phoenix is going to be using Bradley Beal as their starting point guard. Um, I have no idea how that is going to work. Like we've talked about it a bit, that if out of anyone on the roster currently that's had like quality playmaking, at least of the big three, that's had
Yeah,
quality playmaking experience, it's probably Bradley Beal. Devin Booker's had a little bit
that's
of
it.
run at point guard.
Yeah,
We know KD can handle passing, sort of. He's not really a playmaker, but he's not a ball hog either. So, like we've talked about before, he's kind of the ultimate weapon, can fit anywhere. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this works with Bradley Beal. What are your thoughts there? How do you see that working out?
I'm trying to remember. I believe it was 2021 where he was second in scoring behind Steph.
Yep.
He was a very capable playmaker that year. He was
Mm,
taking on a lot of playmaking duties with, I guess but realistically, I usually see him as a secondary playmaker,
yeah.
not as the number one playmaker. So I'm kind of interested to see how he translate that. But I mean, he has a lot of guys he can pass out to there. There's a lot of weapons there. I think with that many stars, I think you kind of have to make it work at times. So I'm not too worried about it, but at the same time, it could be something we look towards later on. Maybe I feel like we might see them try to make that push a bit more for a point guard. I don't think Bradley Beal is set just yet, but I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't be too scared. I don't think it's the worst situation you could be in. So it's interesting to see. He definitely has very solid playmaking skills, and we've seen it in the past, but we'll have to see him as the primary playmaking ball handler too. So yeah, we'll see. It's interesting.
I think it's also worth noting that, in terms of teams trying to say, you know what, we don't need a playmaker, uh, that was Boston's biggest Achilles heel, was just
Uh,
not having a quality playmaker to slow the game down, to make smart decisions, and to get things back on track. Boston was this second straight year. Granted, they've had this issue since Jason Tatum's era has begun.
yeah,
Um, just not having quality ball handlers. They kind of got the back end of Kemba Walker. They
yeah,
didn't really get much of Kyrie Irving. They really need a playmaker. And I think, for Phoenix fans, this is something to kind of be wary about is when you
yeah,
don't have a true playmaker, you're just hoping that there's enough scoring around and enough like decent playmaking, just viable playmaking that the issues that come of this aren't going to be major. But
yeah,
like I said, Boston has kind of shown it could be a big problem. They really got exploited by Miami for just not having quality ball handling. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, interesting position there. Next for Phoenix, this isn't in order technically speaking, but this one is. Phoenix then went out and signed Bull Bull
Mhm.
to a 1 year contract. Obviously, son of Manute Bull, NBA. I wouldn't say legend, but kind of legend in the community. Drafted in 2019 by Denver. He never really got a shot with the Nuggets. Hard
No.
to really say. Hard to really disagree as to why that happened. Jokic obviously. At one point, they also had Mason Plumlee behind him, DeMarcus Cousins, bit stacked up. So Bull never really got a chance to go to work. He then in 2022 got traded to Boston, and in that same time frame in Boston, never played a game, and then got traded to Orlando. Still didn't play a game for the rest of 2022. 2023 rolls around, more spots are open in Orlando, and they just give this dude a bump. I don't know what happened. He went from averaging, what was it, 8 minutes per game, and then plays in Orlando and starts averaging 20 minutes a game. So, big time minutes boost. Started averaging 9 points and 5 boards again. The efficiency's rough, but potential quality backup big, does a lot of interesting stuff. He's very atypical. I don't think he's kind of the norm in any way. Uh, it seems like an interesting, quirky fit in Phoenix. How are you viewing it? Do you think Bull provides any real value to the Suns here, or is it kind of just a gimmick signing?
I think it's one more of the same thing as the Reddish signing to LA a bit.
Hmm.
Not the same. Anytime you get a guy who's 7'2" that can stretch the floor a little bit,
You're
it's a bit
hoping to strike gold, right?
it's interesting.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously he has a unique skill set for his height. He's an interesting player that maybe I will say this on the team last year on Orlando, not a great team. So maybe on a better team like Phoenix, he learns better habits and able to learn from veterans around him instead of young.
Yeah.
Maybe something I don't know. I he was very atrocious on defense last year. Also, then it's interesting because that team I think is in need of a lot of defense, but
Yeah.
I think he's interesting as a backup. I don't hate it as a backup. I mean, it was on a vet too, right? Vet minimum or
Yeah, something like that.
so I don't
Minimal.
hate it.
Yeah.
Really low risk. So a low risk, high reward could be interesting. I maybe could carve out a role there in Phoenix, but overall, I think people are probably giving it a bit of a boost more so than what it actually is deserved of. I think he's a great player in his own right at times, and he's shown that he has glimpses of interesting
Yeah.
basketball. He's a very interesting player, but at the same time, I think he just kind of gets overhyped at times. But I am still very interested to see that. I think he could be a solid backup big for this team, which I think having size on any team is a good thing. So maybe this is a solid signing. We'll just have to wait and see. I have no clue as of right now. This is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, he's definitely it's not normal kind of what he does in any way.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. Even though he's a center, that's not really the kind of it's not the type of big man they need.
Yeah.
Drew Eubanks, viable,
Yeah.
not a great defender, good rebounder, solid
Yeah.
pick and roll guy, more bounce than he lets off, but
Yeah.
Bull does not really provide any more of a punch in that area.
Yeah.
He's the opposite. Which like you said, it's an interesting fit, and there's some stuff that can happen there. I don't know if he's going to be unlocked. I think one of the big things that we saw from Bull last season was the ball handling.
Yeah.
The likelihood of him having any plays drawn up for him in Phoenix is
Very.
slim to none. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't really like, are they just gonna have him be a stretch five, or are they gonna try to have him be a pick and roll threat? I have no idea, but um I'm kind of shocked they didn't explore bringing back Bismack Biyombo. Someone like him seemed
That's
like a way better fit for what
very
they
valuable
need.
for that team. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
They showed a
He
lot of
outplayed DeAndre Ayton,
did a
you
few
know?
a good
Yeah.
amount of times. Yeah.
So the Bull signing is definitely interesting. I think the one thing we saw last year with Orlando is that there were some moments where it was kind of like, could he get moved at the deadline to a contender? Like he kind of had a little bit of that juice going on,
Definitely
but
did.
now as on a vet minimum, playing in Phoenix where he's not really going to be able to show off his talent, is he going to have much value after the season?
Yeah.
That I think is the question. So interesting spot. I don't really know how that's going to work, but moving on, one more having to do with Phoenix. I think this was the first trade that happened before Cameron Payne and before signing Bull. Phoenix trading the 2026 first round pick. It's a pick swap to
Yeah.
Orlando for 3 future second round picks. So one thing we've seen in the last few years of the NBA is second round pick value is just flying up.
Yeah.
Second round picks have tremendous value right now, probably an all-time high. I don't think we've ever seen second round picks matter like this.
Yeah.
Especially with the G League, getting more competitive. Overseas, everybody's really looking in Europe and how that's going on, and you're seeing Canada get some more love, and a lot of overseas stuff is really getting big time. So second round picks are becoming more and more impactful. So for Phoenix, this is a great move.
Yeah.
Just getting more like in a lot of people will say, quality over quantity. Not
Yeah.
anymore. Not anymore with these picks. It's kind of just like the more picks you have, the better. It doesn't matter how good or bad they are. If you have
Yeah.
the picks, people will take them off your hands. So, like we said with Bull, if this doesn't work, they kind of have a backup.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we don't need this, but we have 3 second round picks to move if we need. Uh, what do you think about this? How much kind of like with Bull, how much more value do you think this provides Phoenix?
Well, I was looking at it in a way where they could add this as a sweetener at the trade deadline to
Mm-hmm.
a deal, something as along the lines of that.
Yeah.
I think it's very smart to go out and get as many assets as you can get for a team that seems to be trading away all their assets, obviously in a win now mode. I
Yeah.
understand it. I like that move a lot. They also kind of almost replicated all their second round picks from the Bradley Beal trade again. They almost have the same.
Right.
So I think you lost a lot, you're getting it back. And I think it's very smart the way they're doing it. Also, I like to see it the way from the Magic's view. I think it's very smart on them. You're looking at a team in Phoenix where Kevin Durant will be 39 in 2026. So
Is
That's
Yeah.
something to look out for the Magic. Maybe they make out like bandits. You never know. So I'm interested. I think it's a good trade for both teams. I think it's a very, as of right now, it's a win-win. Obviously, could go badly for the Magic, but as of right now, I don't hate it. Magic look to be contenders in the next 2 to 3 years, so I'm interested.
Yeah, I think that's the nice thing too, is it's like for Orlando, this is kind of just like low risk, high reward, because like you said, they're kind of in a spot where in the next few years they very well could be contenders.
Yeah.
They definitely have the talent, and so this could just kind of be like how the Warriors in 2020 got the James Wiseman pick. It's like, okay, there's no shot they just fucking landed a top three pick.
Yeah.
Not saying Phoenix is going to be that bad, but who knows? So
Yeah.
definitely interesting for both sides. Like you said, there's a chance that Orlando can make out like bandits here. Um, to move off of that, move off of Phoenix, the Spurs. We said earlier, and you nodded, so I'm assuming it's yes. Could be no. Cleveland traded Lamar Stevens to
Yeah.
the Spurs. Okay, traded. Lamar Stevens, 6'6" forward, just one of those toolsy wing defenders, man. He does the dirty work. Someone you want coming off your bench, kind of like a Josh Okogie. You just shove on the other team's best player. He only averaged 5 points and 3 boards a game. You don't really look at him for the scoring. He is a big time athlete, so in transition, he's going to make an impact. Rebounding, long, 6'6", big body. Two things worth noting about him: he was in the 85th percentile in rim defense last season. That's huge. As a 6'6" forward, that
Yeah.
means he's guarding up.
Yeah.
Uh, Second, 95th percentile in defensive versatility. So, furthermore, reinforces 1 through 5. This motherfucker's guarding anyone.
Yeah.
Um, he's big time. He's definitely someone I think a lot of teams should explore just bringing on. I don't think he's going to be worth too much. I would say maybe 10 million max. He seems like a 5 million guy, most likely, maybe
Yeah.
less, maybe more, but nothing major. How are you viewing it? What do you think the market looks like for Lamar? And, do you think the Spurs made a mistake? I kind of do. How do you view it?
I mean, trading a defender, he's very valuable on that side of the ball. I think they might not want to give him the minutes with how they have a decent amount of younger wings. So maybe I can see it from that perspective that they don't have the minutes to hand out. Waiving him, I thought was a bit interesting. I think that $5 million range though is probably very realistic. Probably, I would think. Few teams I could think of. Hey, why not? Like a team like the Nuggets, go out and get a
Yeah, with losing Bruce Brown,
hey,
especially. Yeah.
get a wing that can defend 1 through 5. Do it. Why not?
Yeah.
You don't need any more offense. There's a lot of teams that are like that where I think he could fit a lot of different teams. I'd be interested somewhere.
Like if Philly could use him.
A lot of teams could use a defense. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely has value, so he'll definitely be picked up sooner than later. I feel like.
Yeah, it feels like someone that's gonna get signed before the season starts. I can't imagine going in the next season and he's not signed.
Yeah,
Um,
26 years old too, I believe.
yeah, still very young. Kind of, I mean, they're not similar players, but similar in, kind of the baseline of what they do. Um, Kelly Oubre still unsigned.
Yeah,
Granted, he's worth far more than Lamar Stevens.
yeah,
Even though I think Kelly Oubre's value has probably dropped quite a bit.
yeah,
It's interesting that you're seeing these wing defenders. The market doesn't seem to be valuing them as much anymore.
yeah,
Um, but the irony of that is, or the backside of that is Dylan Brooks getting 80 something million. It's really confusing. I don't know. I think the league is trying to figure out what a wing defender's value is at this
yeah,
point, because before, like the last 4 or 5 years, it felt like every team, like even in the draft, it was like, I don't care if he has zero skill. Is he 6'6" with a 7 foot wingspan? We're taking him.
yeah,
Like that's what it felt like. So
yeah,
I'm interested to see, and I agree. Minutes wise on the Spurs, Lamar probably doesn't see too many, especially with Keldon, Devin Vassell, and all them, Jeremy Sohan. But at the same time, you know, like we were saying before, if if the goal is that Victor Wembanyama is to be this prolific, we're instant contenders kind of situation,
Yeah.
the more Lamar
Yeah.
Stevens, the merrier,
Yeah.
right?
I
I
know.
don't,
We'll see. Yeah.
yeah. But also for San Antonio, it does open up a roster spot for a potential need down the road. So we'll see what happens there. Next up, Nerlens Noel
Mhm.
signing in Sacramento. Nerlens Noel is a very, very good backup center. Did a lot in New York. Got sent off to Detroit, which didn't make much sense because Detroit already had a logjam of bigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then last season drafting Jalen Duren and then trading for James Wiseman. There just wasn't much room for Nerlens at all. And they didn't buy him out. He just kind of sat there. So now was a free agent this offseason, signs in Sacramento,
Yeah.
who lost Shemeze Metu to the Suns, who traded Rashawn Holmes to Atlanta, was it? Um,
Oh, was it Dallas during draft night?
you might be right. I think it was Dallas. Rashawn Holmes is gone,
Yeah.
so getting a quality backup like Nerlens Noel, I think, is big.
Yeah.
Um, how do you view it? What do you see?
I think it was a necessity. Seeing last year when Sabonis played through that injury with his thumb, it kind
Right?
of scared me at times seeing that. I know he hasn't been injured in the past, but in this league today, players get injured all the time. Not having a backup center can be the death of your team. So I think it was a very smart signing. He's always been a very solid off the bench big. He was on the Thunder for a few years. I loved
Yeah.
him. Plays so hard. He's a great rim running center. He knows his role. That's what I love about him. He knows his role and he knows what he needs to do. Very solid center. I think almost any team in the league that's contending could use someone like him. He's a great center. I think Sacramento lucked out, got him cheap. Very solid deal. No issue with that at all for them. He is on the I think he's 29 now. He's getting a bit older. Solely relies on athleticism a lot, but still relatively younger, not completely in the 30s yet. So I think he still has a few more years of good value.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, kind of just as a placeholder in case something happens with Sabonis. I think the nice thing is that Nerlens Noel is a great pick and roll big. Like you said, the athleticism. He's someone that's definitely a good partner with De'Aaron Fox. That's a hard pick and roll to cover. Both of
Yeah.
them flying to the rim. So, interesting to see there. I think it's a better. I think he fits better than Shemeze Metu did. Does more, provides a little more rim protection. Not a great defender, but definitely does provide some rim protection, and that's something that Sacramento needed desperately. They just did not have the defense last season to go along with their all-time offense. So yeah, interesting signing. He's going to be playing or splitting minutes with the forward they signed out of what was it? Not
Sasser?
forward, center out of
Oh,
Europe, the MVP from last year.
oh, the
Shaq Svek
Sasha
Svechnikov or something.
Vestinov. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about a few episodes ago. So we'll see what the minutes look like. We'll see how
Yeah.
that dude looks like first of all, because for all we know, they just brought in an absolute monster. So
Yeah.
yeah, Nerlens Noel might not even be there for too long, depending on how that goes. But yeah, uh, interesting player. He's someone that a lot, like you said, a lot of teams should have made a move for or gotten. The Warriors were a team that for the last
Yeah.
couple of years, like he was constantly in talks about signing, trading for. He's just a fit for a lot of teams. And then getting a quality big like that is, you want to. You don't want to not have that kind of guy. So moving on from there, your time to shine, Marcus Sasser dropping a big time 40 bomb in summer league. You were talking about him, I think before draft night or after.
Yeah.
Um, you were high on him. He's someone that I think Detroit really could use, just having another guy to come off the bench and provide a scoring punch.
Yeah.
A good pairing side by side, having a guy like Alec Burks as well.
Hmm.
But 40 bomb, what do you think?
So, yeah, he showed his range off in that game. He showed he could shoot the three, made five of them that game. He looked good. It's interesting to see where he was going to fit on this team because he is still a bit of an undersized guard, so he's definitely not going to be starting. Not next to Kate or Ivy. He's too short. Has a 6'7" wingspan. shows some defensive ability. I think he's going to be a hound on defense. Not sure how many positions he can guard with that size. He's a bit
Yeah.
size. Very good shooter, obviously. Great scorer in the mid range. Great scorer all around. Kind of weaker around the rim. Not the most athletic guy. Very skilled scoring guard. Not the most athletic at all. But still kind of scares me at times with the size. Only being 6'1". It's a bit scary. He's kind of shorter, but I think he's going to figure it out. He's not a strong playmaker, which really scares me a lot for his size. I
Yeah.
think in this league at that height, you need to be a strong playmaker. Not a very strong playmaker as of right now. I think he needs to develop that right away. Age is not on the right side of him as of nowadays. He's 22 years old, senior out of Houston. So we'll see. But no, definitely you're getting a 3-point specialist. I think it's great. Shot 44% his junior year from three. This year, just shot 38 on like 8 attempts, I believe. So you're getting someone who's going to shoot a lot, which Detroit at times definitely needs.
Yeah.
And like Monty said, he's a very big fan of him. So I think we'll see him and Sasser in the rotation immediately. I think these guys will be contributors to this team right away. So I'm very glad to see him shine. I'm interested. Still very surprised he was picked 25th. So we'll see how that goes. But no, I'm really liking his game. There's just a few things that kind of scare me from a size perspective. But aside from that, no, this guy can score. He can score the ball.
Yeah, like you said, getting a small guard like that at this point, it always feels like kind of an Isaiah Thomas syndrome, where it's just like do the cons out do the pros outweigh the cons, and like you said, I think Detroit needs this kind of scoring coming off the bench. I just haven't really had many punches. I think Asar is quality. I think he should
Oh
be
yeah.
starting.
No, yes.
He looked great out there in summer league. So I don't. Is he still in Detroit, Bogdanovich? I don't
Boy, yeah,
remember.
none is.
Yeah,
None is. They're still searching for a trade partner, but they're
yeah,
still asking for a high price. So we will
yeah.
see
So
if it's off or not.
yeah, he may not even start. I don't know. I'm assuming Asar is going to be the one coming off the bench, and Bogey will start, but maybe not. And if
Yeah,
that happens, having a guy like Marcus Sasser and Bogdanovich on the same line, that's pretty nice. That's pretty
yeah,
nice having some quality outside scoring and just scoring in general. But
yeah,
yeah, like you said, 6'7" wingspan, not short. He's got longer arms for his size.
yeah,
So and the defense is going to be interesting. Kyle Lowry, there are small guards that
yeah.
play good. Jose Alvarado that play really good on ball defense. So
Yeah.
Sasser has some capabilities there.
On-ball
Um,
defender.
yeah, the playmaking that definitely I've been saying I love playmaking. Like
Yeah.
I think everybody should
On the
learn
court.
how to be a quality playmaker.
Yeah, I agree.
So hopefully that's something that can further develop in his game. Cade is not a vet yet,
Yeah.
so I don't know if he's going to be able to spit some game to Sasser about moving the ball, but hopefully so. You know, but granted, Monty Williams got to coach Chris Paul, so I'm sure he's got some stuff to teach.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure.
moving off of that, final topic, short podcast. This is probably the shortest one we're gonna have done. Shockingly, Cam Whitmore, Summer League MVP.
Yeah.
We were memeing on him in the first couple episodes. Running back, playing basketball, all this stuff, all the drama of the draft night and everything. Um, he had some really good games. He had some clunkers, but he
Yeah.
had some really good games. I think the number one thing I like, and before we get into kind of opinions and takes on him, one Summer League MVP on 19, 6, and 2, 45, 28, 50 shooting splits, which equates to 53% true shooting, which is under average, but Summer League percentages and shooting, I don't really care about. I don't know about you. It's just something that doesn't really matter to me because, everybody's just jacking up shots trying to make a name. So it is what it is. But going into kind of what we like about him, the thing that pops out to me the most is there's just kind of a viciousness about his game.
Yeah.
You know, you can't teach that. That's something that you have or you don't, and I think that's a great quality. Just someone who refuses to be denied. I love that in a player. I know there are character questions, whatnot, say whatever you want, but having a dude that's just like, I'm going to score and I'm not only am I gonna dunk the ball, I'm gonna fucking dunk the ball. I'm gonna break my wrist dunking. He threw some thunderous ones down during summer league, and just the viciousness is something I really like.
Yeah.
What do you see from Cam? How do you think he's gonna be doing in Houston?
Dude, he is strong, dude. He is a strong dude, which I've read a lot about before in
Is
the
he
mock draft.
225,
Yeah,
235, something
I've
like
seen
that?
235. I've seen a few and 6'7", 235. That's a
Yeah,
pretty big dude. And then the only thing I do kind of see that he might struggle relatively early on is just the 3-point shot. But aside from
yeah,
that, I think this dude is because he plays some pretty all right defense too. He's playing pretty mean defense. So you got someone
yeah.
you might regret this Dylan Brooks signing in maybe a year or two because you got a wing that's ready to play. So I'm interested to see this because I think I don't know. Watching him play, I don't know how he felt at 20. That's the thing. That's what I feel like because
Yeah, the character questions, like, it's got
dude,
to be major
he got
because
bad because dude, the way this guy was playing, like
yeah, it
one of
feels
the
like
best athletes too.
yeah,
Dude,
it feels like 19 teams are going to be like, why did we just
dude.
not do it?
That's what I'm saying. I think he's only 18 too. That's the worst part. He's still really stupidly young. So it's like
Yeah,
maybe a few teams are going to question that draft night and saying, well, why didn't we get this guy? Because as of right now, that guy was balling out.
yeah,
I know it's
it,
summer league, but man, I'm kind of a believer. I was a believer before, but now I'm like I'm sold. This
yeah. There are, having Andrew Wiggins on my team. I love Wiggs. He does a lot for the Warriors, but I swear to God, it drives me crazy. He just doesn't have that gene. He just doesn't have the
yeah
fuck out of my way, I'm scoring gene. Um, and to win a championship, you need at least one guy who has that gene. Jimmy Butler's got that. Kawhi's got that. LeBron's got that. Damian Lillard's got that. Steph. Like, there are dudes in this league that are just like, get out of my way. There's 7 seconds left. I'm scoring. Like, all else fails, give me the ball. Cam has that mentality,
yeah
and that's something you cannot teach. You can't teach that. Someone's either that aggressive or they're not.
yeah
And I think having that, especially at his size, man, I'm already looking in the future. Imagine if he starts developing a post game,
yeah
if he really improves the handle, if
yeah
he could kind of in a Paul George way get some playmaking aside, like you said, the 3-point shooting, buffing that out a bit to at least like a career 35%, that's viable, more than viable.
yeah.
Um, like, the sky's the limit for this dude.
No,
And to reiterate, like, 19 teams, I think, are going to be like, fuck, dude, why?
dude.
Especially the teams that had multiple picks
Yeah,
before,
I know.
who had to, like before, didn't Portland have to before pick 20? I think maybe Portland's second was
No,
in the
I
20s.
believe it was in the 20. I think it was 21 or 22 for
Maybe it was Orlando that had two or something
Orlando
like
had two.
that.
They had Anthony Black and Jet Howard. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are going to be teams that regret not taking this dude. So he just absolutely showed out, and I I don't know how the Houston roster is going to look. It's very, like, there's a lot of stuff. I'm very high on him. I think it's going to be a great team.
Yeah.
They got a lot of vets, a lot of quality vets, but I don't know what the minutes are going to shake down. Like, I think, like you said, Dylan Brooks going there. I don't think you're going to see 30 minutes from Cam, but also, is Dylan going to be that much better than Cam? I don't know.
I don't. Hey,
Yeah.
good question, man. I don't know. I think as of right now, Whitmore, I would want to develop him a lot more. So
So, just as we were talking, getting the Zoom back up, Shams tweets out that the Thunder are waiving Rudy Gay, veteran forward, played in Memphis, Utah, where he's San
Sacramento,
Antonio, Sacramento. He's
Raptors.
been all over the place.
Yeah.
Toronto as well. Very quality, kind of in the Thaddeus Young sort of, skill level. I would say more
Yeah.
more offensively inclined. But a quality player, the Thunder obviously not really looking for that right now. So it makes sense that they were eventually gonna waive him from the trade that they had with, who was it, Atlanta? Um,
Or yeah, I would have been Atlanta. Yeah.
yeah. So uh where do you I mean that we're both on the spot here for this one. We've
Yeah.
talked about it. Do you have any sort of like, off the top landing spots for Rudy Gay at the moment? I could kind of think of a couple, but like,
Man, I mean, I don't know how many roster spots are open, but maybe Houston.
yeah, bring
Um,
them all to Houston at this point, yeah.
that's trying to think. Maybe a team like I'd have to be a younger team, I'd suspect. Maybe like Orlando, somewhere young. I feel like maybe
Interesting.
maybe it just depends how much you see quality wise from him on the court. Maybe somewhere like I don't think the Lakers would do that. I don't think the Clippers would do that. I don't know. It's kind of a weird landing spot.
I'm kind of thinking Miami. I
Okay.
kind of think Miami can use a stretch. Like
That's
they
fair.
saw a lot of success with Kevin Love,
Yeah, they did.
using Max Strus as well as potentially Caleb Martin.
Yeah.
Um, Rudy Gay, is Rudy Gay some sniper from deep? No, but he's a scoring big
Yeah.
and someone that you could put with Bam.
Yeah.
He's someone you can potential. I mean, I wouldn't, but it wouldn't shock me if Spolstra said, "Yeah, well, you'd be a speed five." It's like I think Rudy Gay could be of use there.
Yeah.
Just getting a big that can shoot the ball. What is he, 6'8", 6'9"?
Yeah.
Um, what, late 30s at this point, I imagine. So
I
you're getting the back end of Rudy, but he's a good veteran. He's been all
yeah.
around, played with some of the good Spurs teams, played with the Grind City Grizzlies, spent
Yeah.
some time up there in Toronto, like you said. Got to play with DeMarcus in Sacramento for a bit, so he's been around the block. I don't think he's going to stay unsigned. I'd even say he gets signed before a guy like Lamar Stevens
Probably.
because
Yeah.
he has that much experience. He's someone that the Warriors have been tied to a bit over the last couple of years as well. So potential fit there. But yeah, interesting that the Thunder let him go. Like we said, that was going to happen eventually. We kind of all knew that
Yeah.
was going to happen. So, um, I guess we could go from there. What do you think that open roster spot could do for OKC? Where do you think they could potentially use that?
So I've been seeing a lot of debates with Thunder Twitter, which is very divided always, but they keep saying Poku Shevesky, and
Hmm.
I keep seeing Aaron Wiggins.
Aaron Wiggins. Yeah, he
And
was pretty solid for you guys last year.
very much so. And then they're having an issue with both. I mean, there's so many players still. I'm guessing I don't want to give an opinion on either or because I'll try to stay neutral, but it's kind of there's so many players still on the roster right now that we're not even close to the final cuts. That's the thing. There's so many
Yeah.
more players they have to cut. So in the upcoming days, I have no idea, but I really don't know what their direction is as of right now. We'll see because they have so many different positions going on right now. Like they have so many guards, super guard heavy team right now.
And all of them are so young.
I know.
That's the
That's why
thing.
it's
Yeah.
so odd. Yeah.
That's what it's we knew Rudy was gonna get traded, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's kind of like Rudy is sort of the guy you would want OKC to have just because he's a veteran presence, you
Yeah.
know?
That's what I thought too. I thought
Yeah.
maybe someone that could be sticking around.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll check. I guess we could, after this, we'll look at, we could look at free agent markets or whatever, see who's left. But I'm interested to see if there are veterans, which ones, could OKC potentially land that would actually provide some help, not as scoring, but almost like in a
Yeah.
Udonis Haslam role, where it's
Yeah.
like, come chill with us and just teach us, be our master, teach us. So yeah, Rudy Gay, interesting situation there. For the Thunder, more so, Rudy Gay is going to get picked up eventually, but for the Thunder, yeah, like you said, ton of cuts to be had. So much youth on that roster. You try to win a championship, you're gonna need some vets.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
having that roster spot open, I think is big. But yeah, uh, to wrap things up, because that's this, like I said, this is probably going to be the shortest episode we've done. We were now, like I was saying, this is kind of the calm before the storm. This is now the calm. So we're going to be good for the next month or two as things start winding down, but also ramping up to training camp and whatnot.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the episode. Thank you again, Dom. You guys have a lot going on your channel that's going to be coming up soon too. So let everybody know kind of what you guys are doing over there at In the Moment Hoops.
Yeah, yeah. So right now we're doing like an off-season series of every team. We're breaking on every team's off-season, and as of right now, we just did the Suns today. It just dropped today. So if you want to go check out the Suns off-season, go take a look. It's up right now. We're gonna do a lot more teams. Maybe probably gonna do the Mavericks, Jazz, a lot more teams up. Not fully convinced on doing all 30 teams, but
Yeah, that's a lot.
we'll do a good amount.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And yeah, I will be doing a Warriors video for them eventually.
we
So
will.
that'll be dropping too. But yeah, doing a lot of the off-season previews, some and trades and stuff that happen. So yeah, go check out In the Moment Hoops. Always link in the description. I'll probably put a card up for the Phoenix video where we were talking about that. So yeah, other than that, man, that is gonna do it. If you guys like the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, helps the channel. Follow the social media below. I'm doing all the reels and stuff. I'm posting on TikTok. I'm doing all the good stuff. So go check that stuff out too. Didn't post anything for the last video, but there really wasn't many hot takes, so it is what it is. But this one, potentially some, we'll see when I'm editing. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you, Dom, for stopping by, and that's gonna do it. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.